It's Kyle here, and we're looking back on 2016 here on Project Nerdy and kind of touching on some of our own personal nerdy highlights. So a couple things I wanted to mention was some of the shows that I enjoyed this year. One is Game of Thrones. I'd always been holding off and watching the series until I had a chance to read all the books, and I finished the last book that had been published earlier this year. So binged basically the entire series in about 1 month. Really loved it. It's definitely an awesome series. I was everything I'd heard, I always figured I'd enjoy it once I finally got to see it. So seeing Game of Thrones was definitely a huge nerdy pleasure this year. Then for a newer series, just really within the last month, I binged the first season of Stranger Things, which was awesome. Really enjoyed that. So really looking forward to seeing what both of those TV series have in store in the future. Very excited about that. Kind of the realm of entertainment, I'll touch on something that hasn't happened yet, but I know will be a nerdy highlight for 2016 is Rogue One coming out. I'm filming this on Monday night, so I'm basically just a few days away from Rogue One coming out. So super excited for this movie and can't wait for it. So even without seeing it, I'm pretty confident that that's a nerdy highlight for me. Another thing I wanted to touch on was a kind of trip I got to go on, and that was related to work. I got to a tourism tour of some attractions around the Atlanta area, and a lot of them were connected with history and science related to Gone with the Wind or Margaret Mitchell, the person who wrote Gone with the Wind. And I am a huge history buff, so I really enjoyed seeing those sites. Probably the neatest place I got to go was Oakland Cemetery, which is a very historic cemetery in the city of Atlanta that has a very unique history. A lot of very important historical figures are buried there. It's also a beautifully laid out cemetery, so I know it's weird to kind of say visiting a cemetery is a nerdy pleasure, but I definitely enjoyed it. Also kind of history related, and this might come off a little bit of bragging, but it's a very nerdy moment for me. I've been involved in my local county historical society for several years. I've been on the board of directors for the past few years, which is a volunteer position, and we kind of do rotating officer positions. And just this past week, I assumed the presidency of the society, so I'll be the president for our local county historical society for the next 2 years. So like I said, I'm a huge history nerd, so I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to kind of be hands-on with local history and do whatever I can to kind of help out, preserve local history, but also get the word out more and educate people in our community the historical heritage that our area has to offer. So that's a nerdy pleasure for me. So I think those were some of the big highlights I wanted to touch on. I did have one little stat, at least as of today, I've read 30 books so far in 2016. Because the only reason I'm able to keep track of that, the last couple years I've started, every time I finish a book, I post a picture of it to Instagram, so that helps me keep track of what I've read over the course of the year. And currently I'm at book 30. I'll probably end up around 32 or 33 this year, I'm guessing. But that's, books are certainly a nerdy pleasure. So my question to the viewers this week is, what was your favorite trip that you took in 2016? Mine was probably that tour of the Gone with the Wind sites around Atlanta, although my vacation in Myrtle Beach was also awesome. So let me know what your favorite trip was in 2016 in the comment section below.